Maggie, I know you read the Sports Business Journal and the Sports Business Daily all the time, and that's really a prime source for locating jobs. LinkedIn, workinsports.com, other sources. From your perspective, what are the most effective ways that you can locate who's hiring?
Well, I think it's just what Mike said. You know, you have to do internships because and that's the great thing about it is it's not just, you can't think of it as just being like, oh, I'm not getting paid. It's like, it's your time. You can do 100. You could do I would do as many as possible. It's actually one of the regrets I have, and it ended up being great that I worked at CBS Radio Sports and ended up doing 2 Olympics with them, but it's the only place I interned when I was in college. I mean, how silly was that? It ended up working out well, but if I could go back, I would have done such a variety, more companies to see how things work. I think that is probably the biggest way. I mean, you can go on job websites, you can send out demo reels. I'm sure everyone has this story. When I got out of college, I probably sent out 50 to like Duluth, I mean, all those places, and I didn't get a response from any of them. What happened is I ended up going to work for the NBA because I was able to know somebody who was at the very bottom hiring loggers. Literally, you log games, NBA games, and that just gets the ball rolling. So my first job wasn't even on camera. I definitely didn't think that was a possibility for the first job out of school.
I'll give you 20 famous loggers from CBS. I could give you 20. That are famous.
It's a good skill. Honestly, to be behind the scenes and do production, if you want to be on camera, is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
We all did that. I mean,
because
we
you can figure out
15 to 20 loggers at a time in there.
But Maggie, let me ask you this. The whole business is about providing yourself an edge. You know, it's really competitive to get the internship, not a job, but to get the internship.
Yeah.
How do you separate yourself from the pack? I mean, it's a tough question because, you know, everybody has a demo reel, everybody will be willing to work crazy hours, and I mean, is there any sort of way that, you know, I'll give an example. When I left the NBA, I couldn't find a job, and I knew where Lou Lamoriello parks his car, and I was waiting at his parking spot at 9 in the morning, and I had my elevator speech prepared, you know, the 12-second speech, who I am, what my accomplishments, what I'd like to do, and can I get a meeting with you? You know, would you recommend to get the internship to do something out of the box to separate yourself from the rest?
I mean, sure. If that's your personality, then go ahead and do it. I mean, I think that if you feel comfortable going up to someone and saying, "This is who I am and this is what I want to do," then do it, because would be who you are when you get the job. You'd be that person. And you know, in our business in sports, it helps to kind of have that edge, because say you need a quote from Derek Jeter. There's 30 people that need it. If you need it, you have to get it because someone is relying on you to get it. There's no chance, there's no room to be shy and timid. Absolutely no room. And when you have to walk into a locker room and interview someone in their underpants or maybe less, you can't flinch because everyone else around you isn't. So it helps to have that kind of, to have the chutzpah, really, just to get in there. And, you know, as long as you're consistent with it and you're not cocky and overzealous, I guess, just to know who you are and be confident in what you're doing, you could probably have a leg up on a lot of other people. That's what I would say.
It's good.
Be yourself.
Do we have any aspiring sportscasters here? Yeah. It's going to be real hard, I think, for you folks. It really is. I don't like where the business is going. They don't want stars anymore. They don't want individuals anymore. They want everyone to be the same. And that's a shame, but that's where it's going. And it's going that way, and it'll kill people who grew up like I did. It's just it's just the way it's going. They don't want to have people who make a lot of money. They prefer a bunch of people that make in between. You know, the companies are cutting back. I mean, I pay attention to that stuff. Maybe you folks, some of you don't or haven't yet, but I mean, the contracts are not what they were. They're not paying what they used to. They used to pay a lot more money than they pay now. Now, that's the top. I'm talking about the top of the business. I am talking about that, but it's just the mentality is changing dramatically. And I don't like where it's going for the sports. I look at it more from performing. That's what I am. So that's how I look at it more than behind the scenes. But I think it's going to be, I think there'll be jobs for you, but I think getting to the top and being an individual will be something they will try to control a lot more than they used to, unfortunately. And I look at that as a negative. I hope I'm wrong about that.
Van, as Mike so eloquently put before, It's great to have a friend who owns the station
Yeah,
or a
help.
relative.
That does help.
But talk about other ways to getting an edge. It seems like people like to help out people that they, feel a connection with, like famous alums from your high school, famous alums from your college, fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, that sort of thing. Can you talk about other ways that, through people, through networking, through circumstance, that you can supply yourself with an edge?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I think you can do to get that internship or that entry-level gig right out of the gate, whether you're a recent grad or you're still in school. Everyone wants to hire someone who has something to offer that's either going to make the business grow or save the business money. It's one or the other. You want to tap into your professional networking organizations. That's where you're going to come across people who are already in the business in various capacities. I would encourage you to do that, your alumni associations. I would also encourage you to the informational interviews, do things like that. Go to as many networking events that you can with a purpose. Don't just hand your business card out and don't just collect a bunch of business cards. Know what you think you want to do, because that's probably going to change, tenfold. I started out, I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. I end up in marketing. But it's going to keep changing as you grow, but when you go tomorrow, there's a networking event. Know what you think you want to do right now today, and when you get there, work the room. Sometimes we go to these networking events and we buddy up, and I go with Mike and I just stand next to Mike all night. That's not going to help. I already know him. So what you need to do is have your plan. If you want to go into broadcasting, events, marketing, or whatever, start meeting people. Have your 10-second, 30-second spiel. Hi, my name is. I do this. I aspire to do that. Get the feedback from the other person. Have a little conversation, move on to the next person. Try to work the room as best you can to increase your network. The other thing I would say, if you are not already subscribing to Sports Business Journal, you probably should. And I know that it's a pretty hefty expense for those college students. It's an expense for us too that they're employed. But maybe you can kind of pool together with a couple of your buddies and everybody go in and get a year's subscription. And then set up a date. Every Thursday at noon, you're going to meet at the cafe and read the journal, because it has a lot of good information in it. You're not only going to just see what's happening in the business landscape, from facilities to media to labor to everything for the week, you're going to be able to start forecasting what's getting ready to happen. And sometimes that's where you really need to be, because once the news is already broke, it's broken. Where you want to be is on the other side of what's getting ready to happen. Who just inked a big deal and they're going to expand? Who just got the whatever conference or convention or tournament in their city, and they're going to need to hire a lot of people, a lot of them just like you, to come in and help with that marathon or whatever the event is. So you need to know where things are, where they're happening, and who's in charge of making the decision. And then try to get to that person. Send your resume, email it. As Maggie was saying, if you're confident and comfortable with approaching someone just on the fly, try not to stalk them, but do that, because that's what's gonna help you. And then once you get that door open, then it's up to you to perform. And don't look at it as, I'm an intern, I'm not getting paid, or I'm only getting college credit. Treat it just like they were giving you a six-figure salary.
And just to piggyback on that, don't get discouraged. I mean, what we're talking about up here is difficult, and there's going to be times where you feel hopeless, and I've gotten 1,000 no's in a row, and I'm tired, and I just want to give up. Don't give up, because so many people have, so many people get so many no's, but you really have to persevere and have that inner strength and inner confidence that you have something to offer.